Have you ever felt like you're kind of on the outside looking in? Like everyone else got a secret manual for social life and you just missed that day? If you have few or even no friends, it can feel incredibly lonely. It's something so many of us go through, but we almost never talk about it. So today, we're going to dive into why this happens, and here's the twist, how it might actually be a sign of something really powerful. And let's be real, these feelings, they're completely valid. When you look around, it's so easy to feel like you're missing out, like you're not cool enough, or funny enough, or just enough. You see everybody else posting their group photos, and it can plant that seed of doubt. Wait, is there something wrong with me? I want to propose a completely different way of looking at this. What if this time in your life, this period of being on your own, isn't a failure? What if it's not a punishment at all? What if it's actually a sign of something much, much deeper happening just beneath the surface? To really get that, we have to start by looking at how your mind is actually wired. So let's kick things off by exploring the psychology behind what it means to walk a more solitary path. Okay, this is absolutely the most important takeaway, so I want you to really let this sink in. Having few friends does not mean you are broken. It doesn't mean you're a failure or that you're antisocial. Psychological research suggests it often just means your brain operates in a way that makes the typical social scene feel, well, draining, shallow, or just plain unnecessary. So how exactly does your mind work differently? Well, psychology points to 5 key traits that often show up in some of the world's most creative and thoughtful people, who also happen to have a very small inner circle. Let's break them down. All right, first up, and this one is a huge one. It's not that you dislike people, it's that you have an almost allergic reaction to anything that feels fake. Your mind is like this finely tuned radar that picks up on manipulation, on hidden motives, on the masks people wear, and it picks it up instantly. And the more self-aware you become, the less you can stand it. You would genuinely rather be alone in total silence than have to sit through another shallow, meaningless conversation. This isn't you being antisocial. It's you protecting your own peace. And that leads us perfectly into the second trait, this deep-seated need for depth over quantity in your relationships. So see, you're not actually avoiding connection. You're just avoiding empty connection. That soul-crushing small talk about the weather or weekend plans, it feels like a total waste of your limited energy. What you really crave are those conversations about big ideas, about why people do what they do, about what makes life truly meaningful. And since that's pretty rare, you choose to wait for a real one instead of filling your life with friendships that just feel hollow. Okay, so this next trait, it's less about what you prefer and more about straight-up biology. For you, social interaction can feel like a high-intensity workout. Some people are just born with a more sensitive nervous system. It means that while some people get energized by being in a crowd, for you, every single conversation costs you energy. That's because you're processing so much more information. The words, the tone, the body language, the emotional undercurrents. So solitude isn't a punishment for you. It's a biological necessity. It's how you recharge your batteries. Moving on to trait number 4. And honestly, this one is a genuine superpower in the world we live in today. You are fiercely independent. What this really means is you don't need a bunch of people around to tell you you're okay. You don't need that constant social validation to feel good about yourself. You can entertain yourself, you can solve your own problems, and you can find comfort inside your own head. This kind of self-reliance is a massive strength, and it means your standards for who you actually let into your inner world are, understandably, incredibly high. And the final psychological trait. This one is a protective shield. It's not something you were born with, but it's something life has taught you.
You know, if you've been burned by people in the past, maybe through betrayal or just feeling let down, your brain logically goes into protection mode. It's a survival instinct, really. This creates a much higher trust threshold, a bar that someone has to clear before you truly let them get close. So you watch people for a little longer, you listen more carefully, and you might even test them a bit before you grant them access. That's not being cold, that's being wise.
So, we've talked about the psychological why. Now, let's get to the really powerful part, the what for. Let's completely reframe this whole experience by looking at the incredible opportunity that all this solitude actually gives you. So the common view, right, it's that being alone means you're missing out, you're lame, you're lonely. But the spiritual perspective just flips that on its head. It says this is a time of no interruptions, a time to practice radical self-love. And maybe most importantly, it's the perfect time to find your real purpose.
And this is the core idea from that perspective. I know, it's a bold statement, but just think about it for a second. If you're in this place right now, this might actually be the most powerful position you could ever be in to build the life you truly, deeply want.
So why is it the best position? Because you're free. You are free from all the drama, the gossip, the people who just drain your energy. You have the quiet and the space to figure out what you're actually passionate about. It's this amazing chance to connect with your own intuition, that inner voice. As one of our sources puts it, being caught up in a group can keep you lost in the matrix. This solitude, it's your exit ramp. Okay, so this is where it all clicks. Let's bring these two powerful ideas together. Let's look at how your specific psychological wiring creates the perfect conditions for you to discover your purpose. Check this out. Your psychological trait of being extremely independent, well, that's exactly what gives you the spiritual opportunity of having freedom from distraction. Your preference for deep, meaningful connections, that's what pushes you to connect with your own higher self. And those high standards for trust, the ones you learned from past hurts, they're what make sure you stay on your own unique path, heading toward a bigger purpose without getting sidetracked by the wrong people.
So you see, having few friends isn't a curse. It's not a character flaw. More often than not, it's a sign that you are wired for depth, for authenticity, and for independence. And that unique wiring is what creates the perfect space for you to discover who you truly are. Which leaves us with one final, powerful question to think about. What if this lonely path you've been walking is actually the most direct route back home to yourself?